E aí galera do Samba Rock, beleza? Nós vamos falar hoje com o Eliot, que é um autêntico canadense, e nós vamos tirar algumas dúvidas aí, matar algumas curiosidades, como funciona o sistema público, qual a opinião deles a respeito desses serviços aqui no Canadá. Espero que vocês gostem, e enquanto o Rick vai preparar uma comidinha aí pra nós, valeu? What would you say about the public transportation in Canada? I mean, or just Toronto, about the TTC? I think it's good or should be better by the amount of tax that you pay.
I'm very fond of it.
Yeah?
I think you don't really appreciate things until you go other places, and then you start to like Canada more. Well, public transit, I don't think probably not. We're not that great. We're okay. We're alright. Like it's really busy. I just would like to see more people taking transit. I'd really like. There's not a huge. And I like this. I don't think there's a huge class difference. Like in Toronto, you see people of all social statuses, like suits, not suits,
crazy people.
Yeah, everything. all taking transit.
Yeah.
Which I really like. Like it's not for the lower class. It's not just a poor person's way of transportation.
Could be bigger, right? Like larger, a branch reach further.
Personally, well, cause what am I? 21. I don't have the means to own a car at the moment. But I would like to grow up and not have to own one.
Really?
Yeah, that would be my ideal situation would be if I could grow up, live in the city, and maybe I could rent a car sometimes, like once every couple of months when you do something particular, but never have to actually own a car. Really? That would be my ideal.
Or
that's a big shift, I think, from like previous generations, and certainly also it's a shift from living in the country where I grew up. Well, definitely, you want to own a car because that's how you get around. Yeah. It's necessary.
You can own a car, but just to go travel, right? Like you want to go to Montreal driving.
Yeah, so you get it for a weekend or something. But owning, I don't want to. I can drive, but I would rather be able to take transit. I'd rather there would be more. I think it's a more efficient way of moving people around, just in general. If you can get people committed to it and have it running well. Right, but I guess you need both, right? You need a lot of usage, and then you need more investment, and then they build off each other. Well, it's a flat fare system, like $3 for any ride, which I think
it doesn't matter if it's streetcar, bus, or subway.
Or the distance, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Which is good because the people who probably have the longest to go would be people who are living not in the very center of the city. Yeah. So the people who have longer to go and would have to pay more are the ones who have less money. So I think which is part of the reason that it's a flat fare system.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like that a lot.
It's fair. When you went to school, it was a public school, right?
Yeah, Catholic school.
Yeah,
actually, my high school education was all right. I had some good teachers, and that made it okay. But the quality of the education is low. Like expectations are low.
Can you find any reason for that? I mean, for example, the teachers are not well paid, or
no. Part of it has to do. I think part of it has to do with the teachers' union is very powerful, and there are no standardized testing systems. There are some you can do, like international baccalaureate. There's nothing. There's no nationwide across Canada sort of test that you take at the end of high school to get into college or to get into university, for example. Personally, I think if that would maybe a positive thing if that was in place, because then you can force a higher quality, a higher standard of education. You can enforce that, but it's so much like the reason I went to the school that I went to was because my parents perceived that was the best education of the three that I would get in town. The attitude in school is not great. No kid in high school, or very few kids in high school, really want to learn. They're not really. I mean, maybe that's probably pretty pervasive, right?
Yeah,
That's a
that
difficult thing,
It's
but
pretty worldwide.
That was what?
Nobody
You're
wanted to do
21
this.
now?
yeah,
That was
like
6,
17, 18.
7
I
years
was like
ago?
18 when I graduated.
Oh.
Like
so
3 years ago.
You're not talking about a generation far behind.
Oh no, this is just like
Just
a couple of years, 3 years ago, yeah.
But in the transition to U of T,
To university.
to university, that happens in 1 year?
We finished high school in June, I think. Yeah.
So then you can join
And
Samba.
then, you
September.
only have,
you were-
summer's really short, yeah, when you're in high school. It's like 2
Yeah,
months.
we know that.
Yeah. And then you start
Short years.
university in August. Or
Alright.
September, so we're at the end of September.
Oh, so
Or
right,
the end
right
of
in the
August.
same year.
Yeah, so
You
yeah, we
finish
had
it
like...
together.
Well, you can... You used to be... You had to be in high school for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
everyone, and now it's 4. You have to do 4, and you can choose if you want to do a 5th. So I went for 5 because I didn't know... After 4 years, I didn't feel like I was ready to go to university.
Mm-hmm.
As I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, this is dumb, right? Why would I go away and start? It's what, about $8,000 a year in debt that I get in student loan. So
Mhm.
why would I start that when I don't even know where I'm going?
Yeah.
That's the
That makes
interesting
sense.
part, right? It's you said it's $8,000
yeah.
dollars, but you get on loan, right? So the government is paying you.
Yeah, I think right now, I'm just about at $20,000.
And how long do you
It's a
have
little bit
to,
weird.
to pay for it?
The minimum payment is like a 25 year plan. It's a long time. Well, if you have no money, then they pay your interest for you, and you don't have to pay anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not employed, you can't find a job. You can state that when you come out of university, and the government pays the interest on your loan, so that it doesn't get any larger. The amount you owe doesn't get any larger, and you just wait till you have enough money that you can begin to pay. Well, I think we have a bit of a problem in that when you come out with a bachelor's degree, particularly an arts degree, not so much a science degree, but for both, it doesn't take you in a particular direction necessarily. You graduate with a bachelor's of science, and you could do research, right? Like you can just go on and do more school. That's one thing, but not that many people can do that because there's not that much need for it. So I think that a lot of people graduate with university degrees and 4 years of studying, learn some practical skills, but most of what they did, it wasn't
Just
practical.
theory.
Like they learned, if they did well, they learned how to write a test better than they learned the subject matter of their
Right.
discipline. And if it's like, even if it's analytical chemistry or something like that,
And can you
they
get
might not be able to get a job.
an internship while you're?
But no, the internships they're not really that common outside of, a few particular disciplines that
So
just
you
work
don't
that in. Well, what I'm doing neuroscience. I'll have a bachelor's of science at the end. If I work in a lab or something like that, I'll get some experience doing lab work, and that's research, right? You could go on and you do a master's and a PhD, and you go into research. That's one thing you can do. But like I said, not that many people can do that, and it's either that or medicine. Those are the only two things that it really naturally leads into. And there's not enough space in both of those combined nearly to cover, to give work to all the people who would graduate with a degree in neuroscience, right? So honestly, I have no idea what I'll do when I'm finished.
You're doing a program in Scotland, right?
Yeah.
So does it help you finish earlier or postpones it?
Definitely not. Yeah. It's yeah.
It's like you're taking a break, then you get it.
Yeah, to be honest. It may or may not be a wise decision. But really, no, in all honesty, it's really like it's an opportunity that I have to travel.
Well,
Yeah.
Effectively the government's paying for it immediately, right? In the moment, like I have to pay it back 10 years from now, right? But on the flip side, like I'm single. I'm in a position where
It's like us here.
when can I travel
Now
for
it's
5
the
months
time.
again to Scotland? So it's
Exactly.
how do you decide whether or not it's a good decision? It's a unique opportunity, certainly.